Welcome, everyone, to the Get Wisdom podcast, especially for you folks looking for maybe a new way to do life or trying to figure out how to get unstuck somewhere. Or perhaps you just need a fresh perspective on your current circumstances. We can definitely assist with all of that. Just check us out over at www.getwisdom.cc. I'm Miranda.
And I'm Jay.
And today we're going to be exploring the white paper, the art of seeing again, reclaiming conscious choice in a world on autopilot, by Brent Ziemann.
Yeah, and our goal really is to pull out some truly actionable insights for you from this material. It's quite powerful stuff. It tackles this pervasive myth right away that transformation starts with just gritting your teeth, sheer willpower or frantic action.
Right.
Ziemann just flips that completely. The core idea, it's pretty simple, actually. The journey to mastery, it doesn't kick off with action. It starts with sight.
Not starting a new diet first thing or signing up for yet another course. It's more about looking in the mirror.
Exactly. Looking in the mirror first. The paper frames awareness as the absolute foundation for any real transformation. And it defines awareness in a really interesting way. It's not some, big dramatic fireworks moment. It's that quiet, sometimes quite sobering. Oh, that moment, the mirror is finally honest. And you actually see what you'd previously, maybe unconsciously, chosen to ignore.
Okay. And the paper argues, I think, that if you skip that moment, that awareness piece, then all the stuff you do afterwards, the improvement, it's kind of just theater, like action without real intention behind it.
That's it, exactly. Theater. So the mission for us today really is to understand how we shift from that default autopilot living to making truly conscious choices, ensuring our efforts, our discipline are actually intentional, not just reacting.
Which leads us right into this first big trap the paper talks about, doesn't it? The myth of passive change.
The myth of passive change. We've all seen it or lived it.
Yeah, definitely. We change in like two main ways, right? Either something external forces us, or we make an internal choice. But we tend to notice the external stuff more. It's dramatic, like the toxic job finally pushes you over the edge, or a relationship ends suddenly, or, you get a scary health diagnosis.
Right. Those moments force adaptation.
Yeah, they force you to change.
Yeah, that shift is undeniable, sure. But, and this is critical, we need to understand its limits. That kind of adaptation, it's purely reactive. It's survival level stuff. It happens to us, not through us. And the paper's point is, while surviving is good, change that just happens to you rarely brings you to life, if that makes sense.
Okay. But wait, if something external, like a bad situation, forces me to stop doing something harmful, isn't that still positive, even if it's reactive?
Well, it can feel positive in the short run, absolutely. But the root is unconscious. And because it's unconscious, it's often not sustainable. Once that external pressure lifts,
I drift back.
You drift right back to the old defaults. Think about the person who only gets healthy because the doctor gave them a real scare. 6 months later, maybe the fear fades a bit, and those old habits creep back in.
Okay. I see.
So if you want real mastery, which is about consciously creating your future self, not just reacting to, now you need that conscious reorientation.
So reactive change is like patching a leaky roof temporarily.
Yeah.
But real mastery is like rebuilding the foundation so it doesn't leak in the first place.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And for that, we need a catalyst. And that catalyst is awareness. You simply cannot master something you refuse to truly observe.
Okay, this is where it starts to feel a bit uncomfortable, I think. The paper says awareness forces us to observe ourselves, sometimes in really uncomfortable ways. It makes us ask these questions that Ziemann calls the gateway drug to transformation. And yeah, they can sting a bit.
They absolutely should sting, because they reveal those subtle little self-deceptions we all use just to get through the day sometimes. These questions demand accountability, like, why do I keep doing the very thing I say I don't want to do?
Yes.
Or why do I agree to things that I know will just drain me, knowing I'll probably resent it later?
Right. Or betraying your own word, even in small, private ways nobody else sees.
Exactly. And you mentioned one that's huge, especially professionally.
Oh, the pretending enthusiasm one.
Yeah. Why do I pretend enthusiasm when really it's just obligation?
When you start asking that one, wow, you realize how much energy goes into just keeping up the performance.
Every single time you honestly confront one of those patterns, though, it loses a tiny bit of its power over you. But to even get to that confrontation, you need a discipline, a practice. And the author suggests this really powerful habit, setting reminders to question what seems obvious, and also to question what doesn't quite make sense in your reactions or behaviors.
Okay, how does that work in practice? Like, Do I stick a note on my monitor saying, what's obvious right now?
You could. It's really about turning your own life into a kind of field study, turning ordinary moments into what Ziemann calls micro-awakenings.
Mm,
So let's say you're stuck in traffic, obvious reaction, frustration, maybe anger, right?
totally.
But the discipline kicks in with that reminder. Question what's obvious. Instead of just being mad about the traffic, you observe the reaction itself. Why am I reacting so strongly? What need inside me feels threatened right now?
Okay, so the traffic jam stops being just this external frustration, and it becomes data. Data about my inner state, maybe my need for control or certainty or something.
Exactly right. Mastery isn't built just by cramming in new knowledge. It's built in the constant re-seeing of what's already there, applying awareness to your current reality.
But, okay, awareness isn't pure, is it? We have filters. The paper talks about our psychological needs and this value matrix. I think that's where things get complicated for people. We just assume everyone sees things the same way.
We absolutely do. We assume everyone defines core human needs identically, but they don't. The filter is huge. Let's use the paper's example. The need for connection. Pretty universal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, two people share that need. But say person A values harmony above almost everything else. They'll likely avoid conflict, maybe people please a lot, all to maintain that feeling of connection through harmony.
Okay, makes sense.
But person B, who also needs connection, might value truth more than harmony. So they might seem confrontational or brutally honest sometimes because they believe real connection only comes from facing difficult truths.
Wow. Okay, so completely different behavior.
Wildly different behaviors.
Coming from the same basic need, just filtered through different core values.
Precisely. And awareness means tracing that pattern back, asking that critical question. Is this definition I'm using, this value set, is it still serving who I'm trying to become? Or are the ways I try to meet my need for, say, safety actually holding back my growth now?
That takes some serious courage, though, because you're questioning the very structures you built to feel safe. And this seems to tie into what the paper calls the hardening lens. This idea that sustained awareness gets harder as we get older.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does. You'd think we'd get better at it.
But it's not usually because the mind weakens. It's more because the mind gets, well, ruthlessly efficient. Certainty starts to calcify. Your brain builds these neurological superhighways, right? Fast tracks based on familiarity. It saves energy. Think about driving the same route every single day.
Mm.
After a while, you stop actually seeing the houses, the trees.
You're just driving on memory.
Exactly. You're using memory instead of vision. You stop experiencing life directly and start just remembering the experience you expect to have.
Okay, wow.
And Ziemann points to some scientific findings here. There's a suggestion, I think it's from behavioral science, that if a person hasn't really formed a fundamentally new way of seeing the world, a new paradigm, by around age 35.
35. That seems young.
It does, but the suggestion is they probably won't after that. It's like they've kind of married their worldview by then.
Why 35, though? Is that biological or?
It seems to be a mix, but largely driven by that psychological efficiency drive and, frankly, ego structure. Certainty just feels safer. Uncertainty takes energy,
Yeah.
humility. So when you stop exploring reality and start just defending the story you've already written about reality, well, you save a lot of mental energy.
But the cost.
The cost is huge. Certainty makes genuine discovery almost impossible. You trade growth for perceived safety.
So if we want to keep that trained openness you mentioned, that freshness, we have to consciously break the projection?
Yes. We have to see how meaning itself is often a projection, not an inherent property of things. And this is where that brilliant little story comes in, the parable of the pen.
Oh, right. The master holds up a bamboo pen, asks the students, "What is this?" They all say, "It's a pen, master." Standard answer.
Standard answer. Then he tosses it out into a field where a cow wanders over and just eats it.
Yeah.
And the master smiles and says, "No, it's food."
The object didn't change at all.
Not one bit. But the story about it, the meaning, changed completely based on the context, the perceiver. We don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are, through our filters, our history, fears, interpretations.
So if I apply that, say I see my heavy workload right now as just this awful burden I have to suffer through, awareness lets me crack that story open, maybe see it instead as, I don't know, raw material for developing new skills or a chance to practice setting boundaries.
Exactly. The workload itself hasn't changed. But your relationship to it, the meaning you project onto it has. That's the power of what the paper calls trained openness. refusing to let memory replace direct experience, engaging with reality right now, unburdened by yesterday's conclusions about it. It's not being naive, it's trained intentional presence.
Okay, this is fantastic grounding, but let's get practical. Awareness needs structure, right? It needs to be architected into our lives, not just hoped for. Ziemann gives some specific design protocols. Maybe we can walk through those slowly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Protocol number 1 is the bedrock. Question your defaults. Every time you catch yourself thinking, of course, treat that thought as suspect. That's your autopilot defining reality for you. Pause there.
Okay, of course, is a red flag. Got it. And number 2, interrupt your autopilot. How do people actually do that? Is it setting phone alarms?
It can be, or linking the interruption to something totally mundane you do anyway. Like Ziemann suggests, every time you open a door handle, or every time you stop at a red light, use that tiny moment, just 2 seconds, as a pause. Ask, am I present? Or am I just running the old program? These are those micro-awakenings we talked about.
I like that. Tiny interruptions. Okay, protocol 3. Name your needs and values. Actually write them down, trace how they show up.
If you don't know them consciously, you're just reacting blindly. So, yes, name them, refine them, trace them in your behavior. Then, protocol 4 pushes against that hardening lens. Revisit your stories. Actively ask yourself, what if the opposite of my current story were true? That forces a cognitive shift, pulls you out of defensive certainty.
And the last one, number 5. Rehearse presence. Like actually practice seeing. Not just recognizing or remembering, but truly seeing the flower or your partner's face or tasting your coffee. Training those vision muscles.
Yeah, training the muscles of sight, not just memory. And this really brings us back full circle to the core paradox here. Mastery begins with awareness. But the paradox is, awareness doesn't fix you.
Right.
It simply reveals you.
And that revealing process, like we said, can be really uncomfortable. That's the part people want to skip, I think.
They really do, but that discomfort, that's the actual gateway to mastery.
Yeah.
Because once you truly see the gears of your autopilot, once you see the real cost of your cherished certainties, you can't unsee it.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Exactly. And once you can't unsee, well, transformation starts to feel almost inevitable. That first step of mastery awareness is the one you have to keep coming back to. Every single time.
Okay. So building on that, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. What is one deeply held of course in your life right now? Some certainty you have about a relationship or your own capability or just how things are. What's one, of course, you'll commit to treating as a suspect this week? Just observe it, question it. And if you're looking for more wisdom and deeper insights from the author himself, Brent Ziemann can be contacted directly. His number is 972-301-2878. Or you can email him at getwisdomprinciple@gmail.com.
He's got a lot more depth on these topics.
Definitely. And also, please do check out our sponsors who make this possible. You can find them at www.getwisdom.cc sponsors. Thank you all so much for listening today.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We will see you tomorrow, right back here on the Get Wisdom podcast.